You haven't thought of an intro.
I don't need one.
Fair enough.
I can come up with it. Are you ready?
Ready when you are, Tuk Tuk.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Boxing 365 for this, our latest episode, which is not going to be a next card in the deck. We actually did record one, but unfortunately, file was corrupted and we're lazy, so we're not going to record it again. We'll probably just do something short on TikTok, something like that. Instead, this is something that we felt we should talk about. It's big in the world of boxing at the minute, particularly some recent news surrounding it, and that is Zuffa Boxing. So, what it is, what's happening with it, what we think of it.
Why is Conor Benn a disloyal piece of shit?
Why is Conor Benn a disloyal piece of shit? And that's what we're going to talk about. So before we get into that, please make sure to like and subscribe. We've had quite a lot of people subscribe recently, which is brilliant. We're closing in on the 1,000 subscribers, which is spot on for us. Thank you very much. We really appreciate it. Please make sure to get commenting. If you like watching us, speak to us as well. The idea is we share what we think about boxing. Like the videos. Please don't dislike the videos. That's upsetting.
That really doesn't help the algorithm.
When we see that, that's a bit upsetting. But of course, if you don't like it, maybe instead of disliking, just leave the video. That's fine.
Or drop a constructive comment.
Yeah, we'll drop a constructive comment.
Like you could do this, guys.
Don't.
Should we talk about Zuffer?
Yeah, I think so.
You've been really nice to the people.
Yeah, I think we've got to start with Conor Benn, haven't we?
I've had a few days to digest this now.
Right, Eddie.
Listen, I'm actually gone the other way though, because not that I've become more angry, but I've tried to sort of remove the emotion of it, because I think there's a lot of people that don't even know boxing. Like, I was at work today, and one of the drivers came in and went, "What a shitty thing for Nigel Benn's lad to do."
Yeah.
And I went, "Conor Benn? Yeah, Nigel Benn's lad." Like, I appreciate it was a different generation, right? But it was like, okay, why is it a shitty thing? Well, just heard it is.
Yeah.
Right, so it's like, you don't understand it. Now, there's two sides to this argument. The first thing I think we've got to account for is the way he's dealt with it.
Yeah.
From what we've heard, the way that Conor Benn's presented himself and conducted himself here, for me, is bang out of order.
I saw Dave Coldwell talking about it and saying, like, he comes across as this confident, quite like in your face. I think he said like aggressive person.
Yeah.
Like not scared of nobody. I don't think he is, but like you couldn't just do it the right way. It didn't fit. Or from what we know, it had to be an email from his lawyer to Eddie Hearn. And you just think, you know what? I like Conor Benn. I wanted him to win the first Eubank fight. I was buzzing when he won the second one. Didn't really. I don't like drug cheats, but I'd convinced myself that I didn't think he was. I just didn't think that he was. And obviously this has nothing to do with that. I don't think he was. I'm just saying I liked him as a person all throughout that. And I think that was because Eddie vouched for him.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for Eddie Hearn sticking his neck out, looking after him, making sure that the truth was told, kept him relevant, really. And if he hadn't have done that, I just think he'd have been nothing. And I get money, but come on.
My two ways I've tried to look at it is, if I was going to leave my job, now we've said it a million times before, football, boxing, whatever, right? If someone came to you and said, I'm not going to tell people at home what you do because they'll all unsubscribe.
Yeah.
But if someone came to you and said, "Do you want to do your job for twice the pay?" You'd go, "Yeah, of course I do, absolutely, right."
Yeah.
But there's two things to account for there that are circumstantial. A, you've not been through what them two have been through, in regards that if you'd have been off work for 3 years,
Yeah.
and they continue to pay your salary in full, so you didn't fall onto the breadline, then your decision would be different, or the way you'd at least deal with that decision would be different. But even without that, you'd pick the phone up to your manager, the owner of the business, whatever circumstance you're in, and go, "Look, I've been given this offer. I obviously don't want to leave, or you might want to leave, but I don't want to leave. I love my job. But the realism of it is, I'm doing the same job for double the pay."
Yeah. I'd be stupid to turn down that money.
Have that conversation, because above all else, it's a job. But Simon Jordan said it earlier. I was listening on TalkSport, and he said, let's all be right. The only reason Eddie Hearn stuck by Conor Benn is because of his commercial value. Don't get me wrong. Did Eddie go, if I keep Conor Benn on here, he might be worth a fortune with the Eubank fight? Yeah, there's probably some commercial value. Matchroom have made a lot of money out of Conor Benn, especially over the last 2 fights, you would assume.
Yeah, but
that decision wasn't. Eddie's had drug cheats before.
yeah.
And I'm not saying Conor's a drug cheat, but he's had this before. You have it in boxing. And he's not stood there in the public eye and been on TalkSport, been onto national television and argued the corner quite like that. I've never seen him do that for any fighter.
No.
And I just think there has to be an element where, yes, there's obviously a commercial benefit, but I think there was more to it. I think Eddie fell in love with Conor a little bit. I think
the facts are as well. Matchroom didn't need, and Eddie Hearn didn't need Conor Benn.
No, they're a
but in
£1 billion
those years, Conor Benn needed them because if he didn't have them, he would have sunk. That's might be just my opinion, but I genuinely believe without them looking after him, sticking their neck out, he would have just faded into insignificance. He's not got. It's not like he's got a stellar career, is it? Let's be honest.
This is
that's
it.
as brutal as it is. He hasn't got a stellar career.
His best win is against Chris Eubank Jr., who went into that fight with IBS.
Yeah,
we think.
No, we don't really know.
Possibly.
But yeah, I think it's poor. Like you say, money. I get. Eddie's come out and said he's all about money. He's not about legacies. He's said himself. He's about. Eddie would like a mix. Conor Benn just wants the money. Can't blame him. I won't be.
Yeah, oh no.
Wanting to get punched in the face for not enough money.
I'm not saying Conor Benn shouldn't have necessarily gone to Zuffer.
Just a crap way of doing it.
But a conversation should have took place.
It's like the whole Trent Alexander-Arnold thing. Not to get into football at all, but some people just saw it as he's done everything he wants to do. There's money elsewhere, and personal opportunities elsewhere. So he's gone and done it. Other people, burn him at the stake. Right.
I think before we move on with the Zuffer conversation, I think the Conor Benn thing for me, it's just about that. It's again about that conduct. No matter what goes on in life, I always like to think that I'm honest, I'm transparent, I try and do the right thing. And sometimes you don't, because it's life, people make mistakes. But I like to look myself in the mirror in the morning and go, you know what, in the most part, I do the right thing. And Conor's not even come out and gone, maybe I dealt with this a bit badly. He's come out and argued his corner. Like, I've done it for my family. And it's like, we're not saying you shouldn't.
Yeah.
We're saying that there's a way and mean of doing it. When Eddie's messaged you and gone, maybe I think with everything that's gone on, I think we should at least have a chat. No. Like, come on. But anyway, speaking of legacy, shall we move on to what legacy means and what anything means for Zuffa Boxing? Good conversation.
They're just trying to make it. I think maybe Dana White's made the mistake of thinking that because the UFC is a success and because they're the name in mixed martial arts, and because of, from what I understand of the way that was at a time, it was falling away to insignificance because of policies in the US on the fighting itself and people literally campaigning to shut it down. It was huge numbers. Then it was right down the bottom because there was no refs, wasn't properly regulated. And now they got it working, and they became, for a long time, essentially the only name. Obviously, you've got more like, I think it's One and Bellator and stuff like that.
Cage Warriors,
like
PFL, and
stuff that's like more significant now, but still, it's UFC really.
But they would have grown on the back of the popularity of the UFC.
And I think he sort of thinks that he's just gonna be able to come over here, make his own belt, change some rules, do what he wants, and that everybody will be in love with it. But I think the problem is, let's face it, if Conor Benn's in a good fight and it's on Paramount Plus for us to watch, I will watch it.
Yep.
So he kind of can't lose in that respect. It's just whether they can make the right decisions. And he's a businessman. He's probably going to make the right decisions money-wise. I just think there's not going to be that many. I think they're going to be. They've got to be careful that they don't upset the apple cart too much and start rocking boats with Matchroom and Queensberry, who been in the game a lot longer, will be in the game for a lot longer,
hold a hell of a lot more influence. My big thing with Zuffer is I've got no issue with Zuffa Boxing, right? From when they first started to come out and it was, we're going to come in and do things our own way, whatever, blah, blah, blah. I had no issues. I was quite curious to go, right, okay, well, what's it look like? We're now 4 events deep. 3 events, 4 events. No one has a fucking clue what's going on. What is it? Is it a league? Because it was meant to be a league. Who's top at league?
Yeah.
What do you get for a win? J.R. Pataya's apparently fighting in his first fight. It's going to be for the Zuffer belt. He's the IBF world champion. Is the IBF belt on the line? Is the ring belt? Is the... And then they're talking about how we're not allowed, they don't want multiple belts and this, that, and the other. But there's already 3 belts being talked about in Zuffer. You can have the Zuffer belt, which, by the way, looks like something you'd buy out of Argos as a kid, and you'd walk around your landing. I'm the champion of my house. Like, they've got already talking about the. Apparently, it's a belt that exists in the UFC, the BMF, the bad motherfucker belt.
Yeah.
Like, what sort of belt's that? Like, the WBC bought out a bad motherfucker WBC title, we'd all go, that's it, WBC. Maurizio Sullivan has lost his mind completely. And then they're going to have the ring belt. So who's the champion?
It just feels like a lot of what they said and a lot of what they've slated, they maybe didn't really mean because they kind of not really stuck to that. And I think there's other issues starting to crop up. Like I say, I don't know whether it's supposed to be like a shock factor of like, we're only going to recognise these weight categories. Like, the only shocking thing about that is that you're risking putting boxers' health at risk.
Yep.
Instead of just recognising every weight category like everyone else does. I wonder whether it's just a sort of play to go, I can put more fighters together for the belt at the same division and have a more dense division.
Yeah, probably.
But I don't really get that.
But does that come? I think that probably leans into another one of the points. But does that come from the fact that Dana White is trying to control everything? So they're looking at this, like, sort of small pocket of fighters they've got at the minute, which we're anticipating will grow, and gone, right, for us to make this work, we need to cut some of the weight groups out.
Yeah.
Okay, no worries. So we'll condense it down a little bit, like you just said, sort of dilute it down a bit. But again, like, if you take, for example, they don't have a cruiserweight division. They have light heavyweight at 175, heavyweight. I mean, funny, Dana, but some heavyweights walk around at 300 pounds.
Yeah.
So the guy at light heavy goes, "I'm gonna make the jump, guys.
Yeah.
I'm gonna jump to heavyweight." Really? Yeah, I'm gonna make the jump to heavyweight. You're gonna put 125 pounds. I'm telling you, I'm doing it. I'm doing it, Dana.
Yeah.
It just, for me, it's just got control like written all over it. The UFC model is brilliant in the UFC and in MMA. It won't work in boxing. I'm telling you now, it will not work in boxing. And the reason being is, I'm not saying that fighters won't sell their soul for money, because they will. We'll see it. We're already starting to see it. The problem is that them fighters on that one platform, I bought the Zuffer belt, sick, right? F.A. Ajagba may end up being the Zuffer world champion. Don't know how, don't know who you have to beat to be that, but he's going to become the Zuffer world champion. He's not. F.A. Ajagba doesn't beat Usyk.
No.
So there's still going to be that awkwardness of, well, all right, you don't like the belts. All right, fine, whatever. You don't like the WBC, the IBF, the IB, the WBA, WBL. That belt has no heritage, no legacy, nothing. So it's still going to be that debate of F.A. Ajagba surely at some point will go, to really prove myself here in boxing, not just MMA, like not like mixed discipline, boxing, to be the absolute best in boxing, irrelevant of belts, he's better than me, but I can't fight him.
Yeah.
What does that do for boxing? You're meant to be fixing boxing. You're breaking it.
Yeah. I think Dana White's maybe, or Zuffa Boxing as a whole, because obviously this isn't just Dana White, is maybe considering that in a perfect world, everybody's under one thing and everybody fights for one thing. But you can't just erase all these other belts and erase the history of the belt. It's just not going to happen. I know I get the frustration behind the politics of boxing.
Yeah.
But that's just going to be the same, but with another person in the mix.
And another belt.
Yeah, they're not going to remove anything. They've just made it more of an issue. That's
what
my
I'd
opinion.
like to say, because he's obviously removing the politics here because it upsets everyone. What I'd like to say to people at home, I don't know UFC, so correct me if I'm wrong.
I don't really know it that well.
Well, someone correct me if I'm wrong. They don't have this politics. Apparently, number one fights number two. Yeah.
Well, they've got like interim
They're interim champions.
champions.
So then you've got there was the whole talk that Tom Aspinall had to fight John Jones. It was the fight that not just made sense, but it was the fight that had to happen on the paper side of UFC in regards to the rankings, blah, 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 blah. When did them two fight?
No, John Jones just retired.
Oh, right, okay. Right, cool. So all of this bullshit that Dana's fixing exists in his current platform.
Yeah.
So the realism of it is for me, I've got no time for it. If he wanted to come in and be a promoter, I'm all for that. It's a more competitive space. Don't eradicate the history of some of the promoters that are out there. You look at Bob Arum, probably the greatest boxing promoter of all time. You know, you've got Frank Warren in the UK, who has done phenomenal things for British boxing over the years. Eddie Hearn, who's, to be fair, modernised the game in quite a few ways.
Yeah.
Has he changed it? No. It's an old sport.
Yeah.
Football. The only thing we've changed with football in recent years is VAR.
Yeah.
And how's that going? Fucking terribly. No one likes it.
Yeah.
Boxing, yes, it's got its frustrations. Yes, it's got its poor judges' scorecards at times. Yes, you have a poor stoppage, but that's sport.
Again, that sort of thing isn't going to be fixed
by Zuffer
boxing because you still see all the same stuff in the UFC. You still see, and like I say, I think one of the things that Eddie brought up was like the way that they treated like Tom Aspinall when he got his eye gouged and he needs surgery and stuff, and basically Dana just threw him to the wolves. Like, oh, I don't know, I don't want to talk about it. And basically, like saying he's a pussy, and like saying that he should have fought on, blah blah blah. It's like, how could you do that to your champion? You know, especially in the way he did it. I think it's poor. I think a good point is it isn't just Dana White. It is the TKO, which is Dana White, and also then
TKO is actually owned by Seller, which has nothing to. Dana is just a puppet master.
TKO. It's Seller, which is the Saudi, and then the Saudi the
General Sports Authority or something.
That which is obviously basically Turkey Al Sheikh. So Turkey's heavily involved in this and sort of set Dana White up as his steward of boxing.
Puppet master.
That's what it feels
Come on, Dana,
like.
dance, you little bitch.
Yeah, that's what it sort of feels like.
And the only reason I'm saying that is because of the way Dana White continues to go off.
Yeah.
Everyone remained, in the most part, quite respectful. We don't really know what they're doing, but I'm sure it'll get better. And then he's then lost his head, come out in a press conference and started telling people about Eddie working for Barry Earn and Frank Warren's done nothing with the sport in these many years, and he's obviously got this beef with Oscar De La Hoya, who we're not the biggest fans of.
No.
But he's been doing it a long time, he knows boxing. And I just think, and the whole Turkey thing, I was watching the Ryan Garcia fight at the weekend, and Oscar De La Hoya is sat with Turkey Al Sheikh. And I thought, you're literally the cash cow alongside TKO and so behind Zuffa Boxing, who are Ryan Garcia's out of contract. Ryan Garcia will sign with Zuffa. Then you've sat there. At what point, I guess what I'm trying to get to is at what point do the mainstream promoters go, you know what, you've done great things for boxing, you've put money in, you've given fighters amazing opportunities, but I don't trust you.
Yeah. I wonder though that what we know is that Saudi and Turkey have done great things for boxing, and got obviously absolute boatloads of cash to do with as they please. It's just whether I think such as Eddie Hearn and such as Frank Warren and the fact that Turkey brought them together and things like that, I think they probably realise it's better to be on side with somebody like that to make these big fights happen, to make everybody some money and make everybody happy. But how long that will continue,
I don't think it will.
I think they'll go back to a model of maybe Frank and Eddie go in, look, keep things here in Britain, we'll do things our way. Not going to be quite as lucrative nights as we used to have, but we're still going to hold a monopoly over a
Brilliant.
lot of boxing, really.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, there's not just British fighters that and they can put shows on anywhere they want.
Yeah, of course.
Whether it starts to fall that way, you'd like to think,
DAZN will have a play in that as well, because
yeah,
obviously Zuffer are not involved with
no,
DAZN. Zuffer are Paramount, is
yeah,
that right?
Paramount Plus, yeah,
So I see some changes coming. We're already seeing it this year. You look at the zone schedule with regards to Matchroom and Queensbury. A lot of it's UK now.
yeah.
Obviously, Matchroom's got its Mexico and US cards still, 'cause obviously they're global. But the when's the next big Saudi show?
Not seen anything yet, are we?
My view is at this point now, these guys will keep them close. You know, friends close, enemies closer, that type of mindset. I just think I think this year is going to be really interesting because at some point, knowing that Turkey is behind alongside Dana this whole Conor Benn thing, that is not going to have done their two relationship any good
No,
whatsoever. If he does the same with Ryan Garcia, Oscar De La Hoya is going to go, well, fucking, are you balls getting involved with Zerdo and
yeah,
David Benavidez? Because I'm assuming that's going to be a ring show. But Benavidez belongs to Top Rank,
yeah.
and no, he doesn't. Belongs to Al Heyman, and then Zerdo obviously is with Golden Boy. At what point do them two go? Do you know what? We'll just put our own fucking show on.
I think one of now that you've mentioned it, one of the final things that we'll cover as part of this is the suggestion from Dana White and Zuffa Boxing that they would like an amendment to the Ali Act. And again, mate, obviously, we exist with our knowledge of boxing, and that grows the more we do, the more we see, whatever. But I don't really see in what world you could justify changing an act like that, which is specifically set up to protect boxers
Protect the
from
fighters.
financial exploitation, well, basically like modern day slavery.
Yeah.
Like you do what I tell you when I
Dictatorship.
tell you.
Sports dictators, yeah.
Yeah. So can't really see how they justify a change like that. Well, I'd be so interested. I've not seen it, and I'd be interested if it is out there to hear what they've got to say, why they would want to change that, because
Well, I did have a little read.
it just takes the power away from boxers.
So the way that Dana's done it, and I had a little read, and I've seen a few interviews over the last few months, is that his argument is it's for the benefit of the fighter. So instead of it being a minimum of $150 per round as a fighter, so if you were to fight a 4 round fight, you would need to be paid a minimum of $600, okay, as a purse. Now, there's ways and means around that rule set, but that's the rule. He's upping that to 200. He's upping medical insurance payouts to 50,000 instead of 25,000, for argument's sake. What he's done is he's highlighted all them things of, I'm giving boxers more money. Okay, no worries. But you're also wanting to incorporate rules that allow you to tie fighters to 6-year unlimited fight deals.
Mm,
So that boxer has to fight 6 times a year for 6 years. Okay. And you pay him what's on that deal. And they've got rules where if you're at the certain level of that contractual agreement, you can pay them. I think it's something like $1,500 a fight.
mm,
There's so many. The reason he's doing it is to give himself what we spoke about earlier. Is to give himself more control, to allow himself to be the governing body, the promoter, the owner
the
of the
manager.
the
Yeah.
gyms. They have to train at the UFC gym. They can't have their own trainers. Like
Really, I didn't know about that.
everything's through the UFC gym. It's full access UFC. The branding, you can't wear your own shorts. Can't wear your own style shorts. It's Zuffer shorts, Zuffer gloves.
Mm,
Everything's uniformed. Look, UFC works, and I'm not going to sit here and badmouth the product. It works, and it has the audience, and it has a massive audience and does huge numbers. But it's a different audience. It's a different kettle of people. MMA fighters, fans, and things like that. You tend to see it's quite a newer generation. Boxing is from the age of 6 through to the age of 106. You've
mm,
got people that tuned in, like an Adam Smith when we spoke to Adam
yeah,
at Hull,
yeah.
who has loved boxing at all levels for the last 50 years. For its good, its bad, its pros, its cons, like you would your wife.
Mm.
I'm not going to call Nicole on here,
Yeah, let's not get into wives. God.
but my point being, it's not perfect, but I love it the way it is.
Yeah, I don't think it needs all this change. I think it's just
I'm sad now.
it's unlikely to In my opinion, I don't think it's going to take off. I think it'll work, but I think
It wants to take off.
it'll be
Take off
something
back to fucking MMA.
it'll be something that they'll just leave alone eventually. I think they'll realise it's not for them. Obviously, there's something to do with the 5-year deal as well. I think them 5 years end and they call it a day. But obviously, we're so early doors. It's really hard to tell. But
Do you think, before we end, do you think they will stand by their guns and not involve governing bodies? I think they'll cave within 6 months.
I think they'll probably realise it's not feasible unless they come up with some new fandangled way of involving them, but not really involving them,
Did you
so that he can sort of save face. But
did you see the comment from Billy Joe Saunders?
no.
Billy Joe Saunders came out and did a bit of a rant on, like, Twitter or something. I don't have Twitter, so I've seen a screenshot, and it basically said, like, "Your belt's shit,
Hmm.
first and foremost, and if you wanted to get involved with boxing and take over, at least buy a belt with some heritage, why not buy the IBO?" And I thought, you know what? Everyone in boxing that loves boxing sort of slates, but accepts that the IBO is not a real world title.
Hmm.
So at what point does he think he can come in, mech a belt up out of his arse, and go,
Yeah, yeah,
"This means best.
yeah. No, don't
Get
think
off your
so.
high horse."
Well, obviously, there's plenty of time left to see how this all plays out. Don't see it necessarily going so well myself, but we'll see. Please do let us know what you think in the chat, and we'll probably have some of these clips on TikTok as well. Feel free to comment there, and hopefully we'll be back to business as usual for next card in the deck coming up over the next few weeks. Perhaps something a little bit new and exciting in our next video. And we'll try and make some more like this. If you like this sort of conversation, this sort of video better, please do let us know. And we will try and do some of this as well. But we will see you all next time.
Don't do drugs, kids.